Hi everyone! Today I summoned a handful of succulents that is putting out air roots. Now I don't know how many of you guys have experienced this or how many of you guys are actually growing your succulents inside, but this I feel like is a common problem during the winter. I mean, to be fair, not all succulents put out aerial roots. I mean, call them air roots or aerial roots. But yeah, I see that a handful of succulents like to put out their roots, and it's also because I am pretty much starving them of water. And I do that because indoors you're really risking a lot of things, and one of the few things I can control indoors is really the amount of water that I give them. So this is a Graptovaria lovely rose. I do have a bigger pot, which I'm looking at right now from this angle, and I don't see that many, I don't see any aerial roots coming out of that pot. So I'm just guessing that I didn't give this one enough water. And to be fair, most of my succulents have not been getting a lot of water. I, at this point, am watering them once a month, and probably they're getting like 1/5 of the amount of water they used to get. Now I'm doing that because, as I mentioned, I am indoors and I can't, well, I shouldn't say I can't, but I don't want them to get leggy. So one of the ways I can sort of control that is by limiting the water that I give them. Now this is one of the newer succulents cluster that I bought. It is, I believe, called Luella. It is one body, and I don't know if you guys can see. There is, can you see? Yeah, there's some aerial roots coming out of this one too. Now this is a fairly new succulent I purchased. I purchased it this winter, and I believe it didn't have any roots. So well, there's several reasons why aerial roots come out, and sometimes it's indicative of something that is wrong with the succulent. Now in this case, it was, I believe, a cutting, and it didn't have any roots. So technically it should be putting out new roots inside the pot, not necessarily out here. So as I mentioned, I've only been recently been purchasing succulents without roots. So this is technically my first winter with succulents without roots, sitting in a pot indoors. So I really don't know what really is the reason or the issue with this one. And to be fair, it might not be an issue. There might not be an issue. So it's just, and it's pretty firm. I'm trying to like figure out if there is new growth. I feel like there is new growth. It's hard to say, but overall it looks healthy. It's firm. I've watered it a couple of times since I've maybe even 3 times. In the beginning of December, I was watering it more often. Not as much, but more often than right now. Right now I'm down to watering most of my succulents once a month. So, and now this is a hot mess. As you can see, this I purchased, I believe, together with the Luella. I don't remember if I purchased it with from the same seller, but it was purchased from Etsy, and this came to me very bent. And I'm trying to, I don't think it had roots either. And this one is putting out a crazy amount of aerial roots. Now, like I said, this could be indicative of something that may be wrong with the succulent, or it just could be signaling that it needs water. As you can see, the succulent itself, there isn't, there isn't much going on, but it's not dried out. It doesn't look like it's about to die. It's actually pretty firm. So I'm guessing it's fine. I just think that it's just putting out certain, certain succulents are just more prone to putting out aerial roots, especially when it's lacking water. And it's definitely lacking water right now because I am not watering them often enough. I did water this not too long ago though. It is recommended that you remove the aerial roots so then they could focus, these succulents can focus their energy into putting out roots down inside the soil, the pot. Now, as I mentioned, I purchased these without roots, so I would like them to put our roots in the soil. Now, these came very bent. I don't know if you guys saw my unboxing video, but it came very bent, and that's why I have these, green wires supporting them in hopes that they will sort of straighten out. But to be fair, these are under grow lights right now, LED grow lights, so I don't think it's enough. Even though they're full spectrum, I don't think it's the same as being outside, being under the sun, so I don't think they will straighten out, if at all. I don't even know if they will start straightening out once they're outside. It's just something that we will have to see. Now, since I live in New York, I don't have that luxury of having a nice climate all year round, so I have no choice but to bring them in. And last winter, I didn't have as much, so it wasn't a problem. This winter, I have probably about 200 more. I'm not really counting the ones that I propagated, the ones that are sort of randomly sitting in various nursery pots. So I probably have more than 200 at this point. Now this one is a blue bean, and this I've had probably for a year. I did have it inside last winter, so I guess I had it more than a year. And so this is not like a rootless new succulent like the other two that I was just taking aerial roots off of. But these, I think, are just more sensitive to lack of water, because they've done the same thing. Oops, I just pinched one of the leaves. Oops. So they do the same thing in the summer as well. So in the heat of the summer when they're outside, once again, I can't water them as often because I forgot the reason why you're not supposed to water them often or as much in the dead of the summer. There was a reason. I can't remember right now, but there was a very good reason, and that's why I decided to follow that sort of care, but I completely forget now. I don't know how you guys are doing, but so far in the winter I have lost 2 succulents to mold. So in here I usually have the window open, whether it's a small crack or fully open. The window is always open. Right now I have them closed because I'm recording, but and I do have a circulating fan in various positions. I actually have 2 fans in here going all throughout the night, and not so much. I do try to, if the window is wide open during the day, I do close the I do shut off the fan, but throughout the night I have the windows closed with a little sliver open, just a little tiny crack. So then I have the fan going. But this one I must have cleaned it off last time because it had a lot of aerial roots, and I don't know if you guys can see, it still has some left. But this is a blue elf, Saturnalia blue elf. Some of them call these Echeverias too, but they have like 3, and I'm not really sure why the genuses are all different, but this I purchased it and it had said Saturnalia. So this one, as you can see over here, I don't know if you can tell. I'll try to do a close-up, but this one I had to take off some of the leaves here because it got mold. So as I was saying before, so even though I have a fan circulating in here all the time, certain area it's not going to reach all areas of my office, unfortunately. And this blue elf was so full, and before this happened, this mold issue happened, if you look at it from top down, you couldn't see any white spacing in between. It looks like this because I had to take off all the leaves that had mold on it. So this one, I had to basically pinch the face, the node. I had to do the same thing, the middle node. I had to pinch it off of here too, and you'll see some of the mold, sort of remnants of the mold problem on this leaf right here. Yeah, it was very upsetting because this blue elf has gone through a lot of stuff, and it survived, and it was doing great. So now after I brought it in here, I had watered it, and I did not water nearly as much as I would have when it was outside. But after I watered it, now another lesson learned here, didn't give it enough time for it to dry off. Now dry off meaning so nowadays after I water them, I keep them on my desk, and I have a fan sort of pointing right at them, circulating, not just pointing at the succulents directly all day long, but I circulate the fan, and I give it time. I want to say a day, at least a day or two of the fan circulating around them because of this very reason. So as I was saying, I watered this and I put it back to where it was, and it was kind of like in the back line of the shelf, and although it's very close to the window, I guess it just doesn't have enough air circulating back there, and it must have just, I don't know, the moisture, even though like I said, I really didn't give it a lot of water. This is a 5-inch pot, 5-inch, probably 5-inch by 5-inch, and I did not even give it enough water for it to run through the pot, just around the edges, probably 3 times, circulating 3 times with one of these little watering things, which really isn't a lot of water at all. And it was enough. It was enough to do the damage. Literally, like 2 days after I gave it water, I did my usual sort of like, run through, meaning like I just give it a quick look. It depends on what's going on that day, and lo and behold, there was black mold. I don't know what kind of mold I just call it black mold because it looks black to me. I don't actually know the official name of the mold, but it was all over, and you can see still spots of it over here. But it was all over, and you'll see a spot over here too. All over a bunch of these faces. So I basically had to take them all off.